pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Bowman. Present. Alderman Bockelman.
Here.
Alderman Milner. Present. Alderman Reese. Here. Alderman Dickerson.
Here.
Alderman Long.
Here.
Alderman Turner.
Present.
Alderman Stafford. Absent. Mayor Hassel.
Here, and we do have a quorum. Good evening, everyone. It's my honor tonight to recognize this as National Police Week. If you gentlemen would like to join me up here. There's a photo op for you. He's surrounded by all the officers here.
All I can say is actually, but
You're not in the picture. That's right. This is perfect. All right. Well, I'm going to read this first, and then we'll do the photo ops.
I made GQ. That's all matters.
So, National Police Week, whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th through the 22nd as National Police Week, and whereas the members of the Harrisonville Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Harrisonville, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression and intimidation. And whereas the Police Department of Harrisonville has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service. Now therefore, on behalf of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Harrisonville, I, Mayor Brian Hassett, call upon the citizens of Harrisonville and upon all patriotic, civil, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 15th through 22nd, 2016 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an inviolable and enduring reputation preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of Harrisonville to observe Sunday, May 15th, 2016 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those peace officers who have through their courageous deeds have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of their duty. And let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. So, gentlemen, on behalf of the city, I would like to thank every one of you for your service and protection of our city. So we would like to petition.
Put you kind of right here in the center with the
No,
proclamation.
I better have that back for the, see, I told you to get in the picture.
They told me I didn't dress appropriately.
They did dress it. Well,
Guys.
you're,
Come on, come on,
Brainy
come on, we're all friends.
jacket.
Come on, come on. Here we go.
all right.
All right. So,
Smaller one has to get down on the front.
nice smile. Give me another one. Nice smile. One more time. Thank you so much.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And as a chief for me, I appreciate it. Too. Okay, at this time, I will open public participation. Anybody has anything to bring before this board that is not on our regularly scheduled agenda, please step forward.
John, bless you.
Good evening, John.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Board. I'd like to visit a few minutes with you tonight about ordinance number 3132. It was passed on the 17th day of May of 2010. That ordinance was passed with 3 board members being absent that night, so it was 5-0. It is called a official name of Capacity Investment Recovery Plan. Some of us call it impact fees, and others of us call it regressive taxation. On, again, that was on the 17th of May of 2010. About that time, we had a bank that was closed by FDIC. We had 2 General Motor agencies that was closed, the Chrysler agencies, 2 concrete plants, and an asphalt plant. And 5 people representing this community made the decision to assess builders an extra fee. For 2 years, we really done good. We built 1 house each year. In 2012 of November, the council was convinced to waiver 25 permits for single-family dwellings. As of last Wednesday, 18 of them have been used. 2 of them were duplexes. I do not know whether they was counted as 2 units or 1 rooftop. There is 3 possible building permits for single-family dwellings to be issued, which will leave 4. And when those 4 are used up, we're back to the same old problem of assessing people extra monies to hook on to sewer lines that developers have put in, water lines that they put in, the power lines they put in, and the street signs they paid for. I cannot convince myself that there's anything fair about this. I know that this council, in February of this year, on the 16th day, wavered a certain area around the square. There was a sentence in that council bill which was Council Bill 3352, and it caught my eye and says, for any reason, that this is held invalid or unconstitutional. And I can't help but think it's double taxation and it's unconstitutional. I would like to see this council at the next meeting in the work session discuss that in detail and find out for sure why we're assessing and penalizing people of this community with impact fees. Any questions of me?
What ordinance was that, John?
Say again?
What ordinance was that was passed?
3132, and it was passed on May the 17th, 2010, and Councilmen Hammonds, Light, and Fools were absent. Now, there's 8 of you representing 10,000 of us. And, you know, it all divides out and so forth. Take your 8 out, well, according to the census, there was 10,019 of us in 2010, so there's 10,011 of us that may not agree with this. And it just upsets me to think that we're doing this when we are trying to get this community going again, and we've got about 250 lots out there, and all of those lots are move-up lots. They have got subdivision restrictions on them of 1,600 to 1,800 square feet, so you're into housing of 250 to 400,000 or 500,000, and we have no lots for bread and butter houses for 960 square feet and a single-car garage. So we need, as a community, to look at our problems.
John, you've built other places besides Harrisonville, obviously. Are there other water districts and don't know about the electric with KCP&L. I'm sure the water districts, do they charge, like Katy Trails is serviced by another water district, do they charge impact fees in those other districts, you know?
Mr. Mayor, I cannot answer that.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I
I've heard
cannot
that they
answer
do, but I
that.
don't know that.
I am only concerned about the citizens of this community or school district. We have got to do something to stimulate things and ease things up a little bit. Anything else?
Any other questions?
Thanks for listening to me. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
You do the same. Is there anyone else that would like to speak tonight? Seeing no one, I will close public participation and we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the April 18th meeting.
Move to approve. Motion
from Alderman Milner,
Second.
second from Alderman Dickerson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving on to our agenda items, HMS Physical Education Department 5K Walk Run event. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. Before you tonight is what's turned into the annual 5K. They host at the Harrisonville Middle School. It's used as a fundraiser to support the physical education department. They're requesting an event permit this year because they go off school property a little bit. I gave you a couple different maps. With the Mechanic Street project, we're looking to make it as safe as possible. So we've given you a couple different options. We'll probably determine what option we're going to use a little closer to the date, see where the construction and the traffic pattern are at. So the requested date is May 17th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. We've had no problems with this in the past. The school resource officer at the middle school handles most of the details with it. May give them some bits for some help there, or some off-duty officers as needed with the Mechanic Street project. There's a lot more traffic through the area, so we just want to make sure it's safe. We recommend approval. I'll entertain any questions.
Questions for Chief tonight? I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Make a motion.
Which one of you wants to make it? Well, what do you want to second? Do one of you want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We got a motion from Alderman Bowman and a second from Alderman Turner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's approved. We are ready for our fiscal year 2015 audit presentation. Good evening.
This is Kim Pearson of our firm Gannett F. Cole & Company. Kim has been our lead on our audit for the last few years. And was here last year as well for the presentation. We have a kind of a synopsis of the report in your packet, and he's here to kind of go through that.
Yes, thanks for having me on the agenda here. We are here a month earlier than when we were here last year. If you remember last year, we went through this took about 50 minutes of your time. I'm not going to do that. You do have a summarized presentation materials that were in your council packet that you've had time to look over. It's very similar to what we had last year. I'm just going to kind of briefly go over some of those items. If there's anything anybody wants me to hit on a little bit further, let me know. Or if you have any questions, that'll be fine. But as we go through the presentation materials over on page 2, our opinion on the financial statements, they are unmodified. That means that it's the best opinion available and that the financial statements are presented in accordance with the different basis of accounting depending on the type of fund that we discussed last year in detail on. So the financial statements are fairly presented, and that is our opinion on them. The audit did go very good this year. Like I mentioned, we were here a month earlier, and so we were able to come in, get things accomplished, and get the report out. We don't have a signed copy yet, but we will be getting a signed hard copy out to you shortly. It's just in our final review process, both on our side and with the city personnel. So that's kind of where that's sitting at right now. As you look at the audit package itself, there was some new government accounting standard boards that were issued this year that impacts the city financial statements. It's related to the pension plan that you have with loggers. So you'll see there's some new schedules, some new accounts in the financial statements, and some additional disclosures on there. It probably increased the whole report package by about 7 pages. So there is quite a bit more information with that pension plan included in these financial statements. Like I mentioned last year, there is a lot of comparative information in this report. The management discussion and analysis has summarized tables that you can look at, compares to the prior year. It also has some narratives from management trying to help you further understand the financial statements. And then not only that, we've got budgetary schedules that are in the back, and then the statistical schedules. Some of them go back 10 years. And so it gives you a good financial history of the trends and different types of taxes and expenditures that occurred during that time. We also have our reports in the back. One is on internal controls, one is on compliance. And with the compliance portion, we didn't identify any items that were required to report on for compliance. So that's a clean report there. And then with internal controls, again, we came in, we got the information and the documentation from city personnel. And from that information, we recommended journal entries to be posted to the city's records to adjust them to the accrual or the modified accrual basis of the county, depending on the fund. But all that information was given to us by the city. In addition to that, we also drafted the financial statements. And so the item that we have on internal controls is just disclosing that we have done those procedures. Same disclosure that we've had in prior years on that. If you're on page 4, or if you turn to page 4, that pension plan, the city actually is overfunded with the pension plan at December 31st. And you can see there that there's a sizable amount of assets that exceed the liabilities in that plan at this time that increase the net position of the city in these financial statements. That's a great thing for the city of Harrisonville. Not all cities have an overfunded situation. Many of them have liabilities, and that is part of the reason why it's been required to report on those type of items, so that it's on the face, if there is a liability, what the exposure is there for the city rather than just the note disclosures themselves. But overall, like I said, everything went well. We didn't have any disagreements with management, and we appreciate all the city's staff. Marcella, this was the first time working with her, and things went very well with her, and then the other staff, Kim, Debbie, went very well. So if anybody has any questions, I can address them. If you have any questions at a later time, we can address them then as well. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kim. Typically, sometimes after the board's had an opportunity to look over this, there may be questions next week or next month or something from any of you. And you're welcome to contact myself, Director McCoy, or Mr. Pearson of the staff, or if we can't answer those, or if you want to go directly to the auditing firm and do that, get those questions answered. We'd be happy to, any one of us would be happy to look into those, get your answers for you if you have to. Thanks.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. All right, moving on. The former power and water building, I believe we have a status update on that tonight.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, just wanted to update the board that the trash has been cleaned up within the building. So now we're just looking at as to the next steps. We have a budget process that'll be starting in July, August, depending on the new city administrator. This will be an opportunity to budget for whatever action you're wanting to take with the building. If you're wanting to demolish the building, then we can start getting better pricing. We've got a proposal in from Houston Excavation, and they had taken a look at it and had estimated somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000, so we can budget it accordingly. If you want to do something with the building, then staff can put together additional costs and talk with architects and other and engineers to look at what's going to cost to preserve the building, Right now, the building's been sitting for the last 15 years with no maintenance, and has continued to get water in the basement areas. We've installed a sump pump in the newer building on the southwest corner, so at least the basement is keeping dry. The old power and water building itself, water's coming through the roof, so the pits continue to fill up with water. So we're just looking for direction as to the boards, or at least give the board an opportunity to decide what they'd like to see next.
When they did the clean out, I had an opportunity to stop and talk to one of the gentlemen cleaning. Did they find anything that they weren't expecting? I mean, looked like he was from an environment, they had some type of environmental logo on there.
We didn't find it. If you're asking if we found anything in materials that we weren't anticipating, there wasn't anything like that. Did find a Terragator tire buried in the trash, and found numerous other things we weren't expecting buried in the trash. We found some fluorescent light bulbs which have lead in them, so they had to be disposed of. We found paint cans and other things we had not known were in the building, and all required disposal. But there wasn't any big surprise or. So I'm just looking for direction, or if there's a discussion at some later time.
I would say, last we talked about it, I understood it was get the pits clean, get the seal, which the hatch is back on the roof, I understand.
We've had to reseal it again, and they went up and cabled it, where it's going to be extremely difficult to remove at this point in time.
Right. Then we got the signage put up, all the doors secured, and that was, last I had knew, that's where we had left it for now, since it was it's not going anywhere. It's not like it's short of a tornado coming through and hitting the building. There's not much that's going to change right now. And given the water treatment project and the digester breakage, I don't see us spending funds on it, especially if we're discussing borrowing money to help make sure we're good with the projects we have. I don't see you committing funds to a building that's not hurting us in any way, shape, or form at this point.
Well, and all I want to point out is, it's not a building that's occupied. We will not be going down on a weekly basis, see whether somebody broke in, unless it's evident somebody broke in. So it's sitting there as an empty building. It's going to become a nuisance, and the potential liability, I would think, would be greater as long as we leave it empty and we don't do anything, make a decision on what the next steps are going to be.
Yeah.
At least have a plan.
After you clean it out, it looked very nice inside. I went and looked at it. And it's got a trolley system inside of it that's magnificent. I mean, you can pick up any kind of heavy object anywhere in that room with the chain hoist that's in there. It goes this way, it comes this way, and one goes down there and curves around. I mean, that trolley system is really neat. That's a neat place.
I'd like to see us pursue a possible lease of the building, like for $1 for whatever many years, and let somebody, I mean, then they're not, they can make a policy, no dean, whatever, but that we retain ownership, which should negate some of the liabilities we discussed before.
I'd just point out, if you lease it for someone to occupy it, they'll need to bring it up to a standard.
Right, and we can establish what standard we want for that particular building.
Well, the building code has certain standards, that minimum standards for buildings. And, you know, the city is going to retain liability for any, let's say, whoever leases a building and they have a spill of some type, the city retains liability. It's not the person leasing the building.
A spill of like some type of chemical.
As the owner, yeah,
Right.
we're still responsible.
Right, well, and you don't lease it to somebody who has hazardous chemicals. So, well, at this point, I think it'll, when we get closer to budgets, we can, like I said, I'd like to see us talk about, I'd like to see it, I personally I hate seeing old buildings tore down. I'd like to see it somehow put back to use. I think it's a neat building. I see people take pictures in front of it for senior pictures and whatnot. It's been there for a long time. It kind of fits in with the historic square, and I hate to see it crumble down. I've seen worse buildings come back to life.
Whoever cleaned it really did a good job.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since it was clean. I saw them when they were working on it. There was some nasty stuff in that pit.
Considering what it looked like before they started cleaning, they did a real nice job. It still wouldn't be clean, but if
Well, yeah, I
you
mean-
took somebody in there, they were gonna say, why, I thought it was cleaned up.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, the guy running the machine was braver than me to venture in there with it, right on the ledge. No, thank you. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Moving on to Council Bill 031.
Council Bill 031 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract with North Star Technologies LLC to provide municipal engineering services at a rate not to exceed $100 per hour and a maximum of $500 per year. What's the resolution?
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. Ted has been our city engineer since before I started, that was 12 years ago. In that time, his fee has always been at $90 an hour. With a new board, we thought it was a good opportunity to bring a new contract in front of the board. And after at least 12 years without a raise, it was prudent that we accepted his new fee at $100 an hour. In the past, he has worked about 1,000 hours a year for us. And then here a few years ago, we cut him back to 500 hours. Obviously, 500 hours is what was budgeted, and we're not asking for more hours than that. But we would like to bring him in. We have been bringing him in on Thursdays. The last 5 months, he's actually been operating without a contract. And that's basically what we're doing, just a little cleaning house. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Questions from anybody tonight?
Will Ted be in the day off?
He'll be in 1 day a week on average. Most of the time it'll be a Thursday, but we have talked to him, and if he's available on a Tuesday and we need him, he may switch days off and on. So
How many hours a week does he work then?
it's about 1 day a week, so not to exceed 500 hours in a year.
Is he a straight hourly paid employee? Does he have any benefits?
He's a contract employee,
Okay.
so he has his own company and we contract through him.
And of course, when the occasion warrants, he does come to present things to the board, primarily on stormwater
Yeah,
type issues.
he is still the city's floodplain manager of record with the state. He also is in charge of our MS4 permit program. Ted's specialty is stormwater, and he's probably one of the best in the area. So, very good asset. And as you can see, if we hire somebody else, we're likely looking at $125 to $150 an hour.
Don't even know.
And we don't know him.
Yeah.
So,
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second it.
Motion from Alderman Dickerson, a second from Alderman Long. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Council Bill 031 becomes a resolution R017.
Thank you.
Council Bill 032.
Council Bill 032 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a funding agreement between the city of Harrisonville, Missouri and Harrisonville Senior Care Center LLC, a Missouri company.
We have a request to maybe speak into the microphones a little more and maybe get some volume if
You too, Rick.
it's possible.
What? You too, Rick.
I will try. Okay,
There you go.
the developer of the former CastMed site at 1800 Mechanic has requested incentives through the 353 plan, which is a type of tax abatement. In order to fully evaluate the request and evaluate the incentives that are being requested, we need to have outside consultants look and give us recommendations and guidance and do some analysis. This would include like the Jill Lauber, the Lauber Law Group, and they would also be contracting with Springstead, which would do the financial analysis. What the agreement would do, it would basically pay the city back for its expenses, its out-of-pocket expenses for the law group and the consultants needed to make the recommendations and evaluate the 353 plan as necessary. It should be noted that this does not approve the 353. All it does is help us get the money back for our expenses in evaluating the 353 plan. To date, we have billed approximately $3,500 in the evaluation on this, primarily through the Lauber Law Group. Staff recommends approval of the agreement.
Discussion?
I'd like to postpone this till May 6th,
Why?
to do more study on it, to actually understand why they've already spent $3,000, you said, and to understand why we're spending and why they need this extension, why they need this law firm.
Why the city needs the law firm?
No, why do they need this law firm?
This is us.
This is us, this is our law firm.
This
We're
is,
the one
well,
requesting it.
The Lauber Municipal Law works for the city of Harrisonville.
We're the ones requesting that they go through this 353 to make sure it is up to the standards we want it to be. Correct?
Yes.
in the past, we have used some either outside counsel and/or financial advisors like Springstead or somebody else like that, and the city has borne that cost out of its just general operating revenue. The only thing different here is that what we're proposing and what the developer is agreeing to, if both parties come up with this agreement, is that the city would be they would front us some money, because if it were not for this development request, we wouldn't be spending that money. We wouldn't be hiring an outside counsel, we wouldn't be hiring a financial advisor or someone to look at this plan. So, in effect, the developer is going to be paying for the city's costs that the city has to incur in our consideration of this. It does not bind the city to approve any particular agreement, but it offsets the costs the city incurs to consider the agreement. Is that a fair way of stating it, Jerry?
So does this mean they're paying?
They're paying.
They would be depositing money with us, and we would pay those expenses, and whatever's left, we give them back.
Yeah.
Whether or not the agreement is approved, they are committed enough to pay the costs of it. But the city is the one selecting, retaining, the hiring, the lawyer, or the independent financial advisor, or whoever. They're just paying our costs.
So it's not gonna cost the city anything,
Right.
and it gives us the education from the other outside firm to make sure that it's in our best interest to do it.
So, okay, so this is, I mean, I heard you say, I think it doesn't bind us in any way.
No.
Right.
Right now.
They're reimbursing us for our expenses.
Clint, you had a question?
Well, just as options, the city may approve the agreement, modify it, and then approve the agreement or deny the agreement.
The funding agreement.
Funding agreement.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
this is not the 353, this is not the
I
development.
gathered that, I would just, this was added on to it, I just.
They're just paying for the analysis
Right.
of the 350.
All this binds us to is
We know what we're
spending
getting
of,
into.
Right.
it binds us to the spending of money for evaluation and review of this 353 proposal. That's what this agreement has to do.
Yes.
Well, technically, it doesn't even bind us to do that, but if we do spend it, we can get it.
We can get our
we
money,
can get
right,
it back.
right. It's an
If we don't
agreement
spend
that,
any, then
well, and we've already
started that process. So this is a way to recover the money that we have spent and whatever any other legal fees we have down the road.
I just want to make one clarification. We are out in front $3,500 just because we have done some analysis, but the way this agreement is written, and they've used one that I created in the past, in reality, the developer has to come forward and give you $10,000, and then you get to draw on that. And anytime we get below that, they have to keep money in the kitty. So once we get the initial deposit, we will always be money out in front. So we're not going to have to spend Harrisonville dollars to evaluate their request for a plan or for a tax abatement. So they have to keep it funded so that we're not spending our dollars to evaluate their request for a tax abatement and a plan. And it's something that we've done in the past on other big development requests. And so that's where the origin of this agreement came from. It's one that we used in the past several years ago. But the whole concept is that if you want the city to consider your plan and we have to incur costs, then you have to pay those costs. But I wanted to clarify that it's not truly a reimbursement. It's going to be upfront. We are going to have the money in the bank before you have to spend it. And once we hit the $10,000, and if we get to the stage of hiring Springstead, you'll be past that because they do a very good job, but they're expensive. Then they're going to have to kick in again and again and again to keep paying the cost that they're going to have us incur. But that's all it does, is it basically creates a fund so that we don't have to go out of pocket to incur any of these extraordinary costs.
But we are picking up what we have incurred by this going in, which
bet.
is why it's dated back to March rather than dated from today, because that's when we started incurring or acquiring the cost was in March.
Correct. So you're right, Mr. Mayor. The moment, if this gets approved tonight, the city's $3,500 ahead.
Right. Because it goes back in time, the date of it is back to March.
Right.
Right.
Yes. I don't know if that helped.
I would make a motion that we go approve this. I'll second that.
I have a motion from Alderman Milner and a second from Alderman Bowman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Council Bill 032 becomes Resolution R018. All right, thank you, Rick. Alderman committee reports. Alderman Bowman.
Well, let's see, first of all, I'd like to thank you for recognizing the police department for National Law Enforcement Week. I think most of you know that the police department and the volunteers and police service did a drug collection on Saturday at CBS. And the amount of drugs that we collected to have incinerated is 177 pounds. So that's a good thing to get those drugs off of the streets of Harrisonville. And I just wanted to let you know that we do that twice a year, but there is a receptacle at the police department, in the lobby of the police department, that's been provided to us by CVS, where you can drop drugs off at any time during the year. If you have any expired prescription items or over-the-counter items that you want to get out of your home, prescription drugs are the most accessible and the most abused drug in our society. And so the more of those that we can get out of our homes and out of our medicine cabinets and out of our desk drawers, the better off we are as a community. So I want to thank Chief Hofer for helping us with that on Saturday, and it was a great success. And I also want to just invite everyone to our town hall meeting. Alderman Reese is going to co-host those with me this year. And we've changed the time. We've moved it back to 9 a.m. and it'll be at the United Methodist Church. So this Saturday, hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Coughlin, anything from you tonight? Alderman Reese.
I just want to second what Ms. Bowman said, Alderman Bowman said. I think that the town hall meetings are so incredibly important because if you have a question or you have something you want to discuss or you want somebody to look into something, this is where you come to do it. We just want everybody to be there. So looking forward to seeing you.
Alderman Miller.
I just wanted to thank the police department for their help in a small little matter that we had at my daughter's new house last week as she locked her keys in the car, and I didn't know for sure if they still came in unlocked vehicles or not, but they were very kind and came and helped us out tremendously, and we really appreciated it. And we also had the electric department came by and checked out some wires that were hanging down in the back, and it's just nice to know that they come when they say they're coming and they help you out and give you all the information that you need and let you move on. So, John, thanks to Officer Mickelson again for me. He was a lot of fun.
I like him. He's a cool guy.
Alderman Dickerson. Alderman Long.
I
Alderman Turner.
Had a good turnout at the Nelson Lodge had the kids carnivals last weekend, which there's a place for the kids to go have fun and do things. A good turnout. I had the fire department had a truck out there, the police department had a car, and kids got to see firsthand and found out what it was like to be in the back of the car. Can't get out.
Yeah, you look good back there.
Yeah, and the company, well, at least there's a divider to keep people separated.
Yeah, your cohort wasn't very photogenic.
No, it wasn't. But I had that, then also the law enforcement banquet that they also had. That was a very good turnout. Again, to support all officers and what they do and honor them. We're just light string active in the community, and it's nice to see that people still care.
Very good. Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Mayor. We have, as of Saturday afternoon, the latest schedule from MoDOT on the improvements on 291 and 49 interchange out there. With the weather permitting, they'll be doing striping and moving traffic around through that intersection to get all the lanes painted and the signage in the right places and all that kind of stuff. Their goal is for next, I believe, Tuesday the 10th.
For the diverging, they're
To
gonna
have
start
the-
tomorrow.
To have the diverging diamonds
Yes.
activated or in use. A week from tomorrow. Yeah, once we get all the different striping and the road guidance down. So that's the goal, and continue working on the islands, and there'll still be some traffic being moved around on the ramps and stuff while they continue doing that, and try to have everything finished by the end of the month. I'm looking at Jerry. Hopefully, and again, weather permitting.
Do you have an update on the four-way stop here by the square? When it's gonna open back up?
Friday at 4:30.
This Friday?
We're talking about Independence. And
Yes.
Yeah,
Independence Mechanic.
It'll be a three-way stop.
Yeah, it'll be a three-way stop.
But Friday at 4:30 is what is planned right now.
That'd be nice. Also, we have a normal policy when our Board of Alderman meetings, which are on the first and third Mondays, fall on a holiday. We try to make arrangements for that to be rescheduled. July 4th is the first Monday of the month, and that is a holiday for the city as well as for many other places. And our recommendation is that the board reschedule that meeting to Tuesday, July 5th. And we'd like to do that a couple of months ahead of time so that if there's schedules to be made and people plan around things, they'll know about it. So I'd recommend that we reschedule that first meeting in July for Tuesday the 5th.
Consensus on that?
That'd be great.
Sounds like a plan.
Everybody all right with July 5th? Sounds good to me.
And the last thing I have is just sort of a housekeeping item. Again, we welcome our 3 new members. This is your first full meeting, regular meeting of the board, and I'm sure there are a number of things that come up now and then. And what we'll probably be planning on doing is kind of having a series of workshops to go over some of our existing policies or areas of attention that are more detailed than what we normally get through just in a business meeting. So we'll be probably coming up with a list of workshops, and if you have an interest in some of them, you may feel like you don't need to do one or the other, but we'll come up with a list of things and try to gauge how much interest there is in either acquainting new members or refreshing old members, or if we have any changes proposed and something like that. But try to make sure that everybody's on the same page and that we're continuing to address those needs of the city. So we'll have those coming forward for you to look forward to now that you've memorized all the stuff that we gave you the first week.
There you go. All right. Well, I was contacted by Jay Schick. He's, I believe, the chairman of the 291 TDD. asking if there was an interest by any of the board members or staff in a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Diverging Diamond. He said at one time it was discussed and there didn't seem to be an interest, but asked me to see if anybody had an interest in there being one. He did propose a test of his wife and mother-in-law driving from either end and seeing if they successfully navigate it. And so that would be the indication that it works, but I don't know about that piece. But I don't know if anybody has an interest in there being a ribbon cutting. I think it would be kind of neat to signal that it is open and official. So I was going to advise him if they can put something together that anybody is welcome to attend. I mean, it's not like it's an invite only, so unless somebody didn't think it was a good idea, I was going to say I think we go forward with it. This weekend, Casey's is having their grand opening over on Mechanic. They're supposed to have a radio station there, prizes. I believe they're having their ribbon cutting Friday or Saturday. They have not told me which day yet. Anyway, I don't know if anybody's had a chance to get by there. It's a really nice store. Lots of new features that we don't have at our other ones. I think the location's going to be a good one. I think it's going to get a lot of traffic off the highway. Very friendly. I'm glad to see it open. That also coincides with the garage sale weekend is this weekend, so anybody wants to get out and find those hidden treasures that they just have to have, or fill your garage up after you've cleaned it out. And that'll, of course, be followed by our 2 weekends of citywide cleanup. So don't forget about that. And I don't know what the change is here. I've noticed that Doughboys Pizza has now got a new sign up for another pizza place. I was told originally it was going to be a barbecue, but now it has another pizza sign. I think a lot of us are on what happened, don't know, but somebody is going in there, and as it looks like we're getting another pizza. Yes.
Answer.
What's going in the Yellow Rose?
I believe that Cindy Warner is converting that for her law office at this point. I know she owns the property, and I've seen her husband out working, so that's the last I had heard, was that she was making that into a law office. So, yeah, it's getting a much-needed facelift. So, it's probably some that wouldn't know it by Yellow Rose anymore.
Yeah.
And what was that?
Okay.
Test.
On the pizza place, there's a pizza chain in Kansas City called the Original Pizzas. And the families are getting so big that this is part of that family that have come down here. They're not gonna call it that, but they are part of the Original Pizza.
Of the Original Pizza? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's one of those up the street from our work. That's what used to be at Bannister Mall. That was like, you went to Bannister Mall and shopped and you ate Original Pizza. I mean, that was the only place to eat pizza. So, well, that's good to know. Yeah, they might make a go of it. And Mr. Foster made some points tonight about, our community. Something that kind of came to my mind is we have a concrete plant that is currently sitting vacant down there. And what's been running through my mind with all these new construction projects, you have 2 large truck stops and then the new Casey's. You see the concrete trucks pulled up and they're dumping concrete. Who's getting the sales tax on that? It's not us, since we don't have the plant open. So, there are lots of places we need to look at what can we do to get some of this going again, because we're missing out on some revenues. I mean, those are 3 large projects that, I don't even know what the dollar amount would have been if we had an open plant here. So we need to reach out to some of these people and see what it would take to get them back up and running. I know he still owns the...
If Wessel bid on all the concrete.
Yep.
But they were not the lowest bidder. Anyway, had they have gotten their contract with them, they planned on reopening this over here so that they would have a closer shot at it. So.
Well, and if they had been open, they might have been able to bid, possibly bid lower, who knows. So we definitely have some things to look at. Anyway, that's all I have for this evening. I don't see the press is here this evening. So, Alderman Dickerson, if you would please.
I move that the Board of Aldermen go into closed session pursuant to the following status of the reserves of the state of Missouri. Section 610.021 to discuss personnel matters.
Need a second?
Second.
Alderman Bowman.
Aye.
Alderman Bachman. Alderman Reese. Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson. Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Long.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Stafford, absent.
And we are adjourned to executive. Thank you, everyone.